Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about the most powerful thing in Dungeons and Dragons right now, which is this incredible legacy of Gary Gygax and what exactly Dungeons and Dragons accomplishes, and how we move into this space of real activity and real power with Dungeons and Dragons. So, if you're on my channel, you know me. I believe that Dungeons and Dragons is not a game; it's a tool, right? And it's really more than anything, it's a human improvement engine. So I'm trying to get the rubber to meet the road, right? So this has been incredibly real in my life. Dungeons and Dragons has really transformed my life in many, many ways, and I want to get it so that it's transforming your life as well. And so let's talk about what happens with Dungeons and Dragons, and where the rubber does meet the road, transitioning from Gary's intention, in my humble opinion, that D&D is not a game. It's a hugely powerful tool that functions to change everything, right? And so here we go. Grow as group. So what Dungeons and Dragons has is it has this element that Gary installed into it, which is grow as group. So first of all, Dungeons and Dragons is always a group. It could be you, and it could be a dungeon master and one dragon master. It could be a dungeon master and five dragon masters, right? But it's always a group. So, and everything I'm going to talk about, it can apply to any of those numbers. Now, it doesn't apply to one. Solo Dungeons and Dragons is not even a thing, in my humble opinion. And it also does not apply to six. If you have six players, you suck as a dungeon master. Step back from the table. It was never built for this. It's a bad idea. You're not serving anyone at your table because you're not giving any of them the right amount of attention. If you have six players at the table, you suck as a dungeon master. Step back, take 3 months off, come back and get the right number. All right. Thanks. Next. All right. Okay. So let's move into grow as group. Okay. So what is grow as group? So first of all, we have this unfortunate state, and I'm going to acknowledge it, right? Oh, hey, you want to play Dungeons and Dragons with me? We're going to cut some goblins in half. This happens, right? It's the worst level of Dungeons and Dragons. It's people who are getting together for fun. It's nothing. It barely matters, but it has Dungeons and Dragons name on it, and it does serve as a launching pad. Okay, so you could do that for a week, but then you find my channel and you start to move past it, right? And so once you move past it, now you have a group, right? And let's say you have one dungeon master and two dragon masters, right? So care about to care for, okay? So first of all, if you're sitting at a Goblin Shop Dungeons and Dragons game, you suck. Stop being a dungeon master. Quit. Take 3 months off, reflect, and come back, okay? And then when you come back and you have two players or five players, right? And you say, okay, at this table, we care about each other. That begins with respect. I do not allow any disrespect at my table from one dragon master to another. We always respect each other, okay? Doesn't mean that the player characters can't have harsh words and that we can't have some drama or some dynamism in their language, but the players at this table, the dragon masters at this table, we fundamentally care about each other, right? And we care about, right? We're gonna when you sat down, before, we're all getting our pencils and paper out and our physical books out. We're gonna say, hey, how's your dog? Hey, I remember your sister's dying of cancer. How are you doing? Care about, right? Now, this is a very important stage. We're not at care for yet, right? Care about. And I want to take a minute, right? Right here on this channel, you'll find the 44 rules for Dungeons and Dragons, which was a fraught manifesto put out by a British dungeon master because he didn't have people who cared about each other at his table, and he had not been, and he had a suck Goblin Shop game where people were there for the lulz, there for the fun, right? There for nothing, right? Thinking they were just playing Call of Duty, right? Like, oh, this is Call of Duty, but analog. No, man. When we sit at the table, we care about each other. And I don't want to go beyond that in this video, right? Just care about. You ask a question, you care about the answer. that person's sister is dying of cancer. You ain't gonna start a GoFundMe. You're just saying, hey, I'm here to hear your woes, and that is not a small thing. People take it for granted. They're like, oh, well, if I'm just gonna talk about my sister, that's no value. No, that's not correct, right? If you're a caregiver, who's gonna hear your complaints, right? And just hearing it is a level of care about, right? So one of the things is we want to start to draw boundaries around this, right? And the first is the Goblin Chop Nothing game, right? Then there is the Care About game, right? This is grow as group, okay? And all we're doing at this level is care about, right? As a dungeon master, do you have this? Does every single person at your table fundamentally respect every other person? And if they don't, you don't want to kick them out. You want to establish that respect, right? You want to have a conversation and say, hey, Sally, I know you really like April, but do you like Deborah, right? Sometimes you never even talk to her, right? You don't ask her any questions. You never throw the ball with your Dragon Master to her, right? You've made maneuvers with April. You never made any maneuvers with Deborah. Why? Why you like April more? That's great, but we're all at the table, and everyone at this table, we care about each other. We just care about it's bottom rung. It's just respect, and it's trying to touch base and give just a little love, just a little of attention, right? Not a relationship, not any type of real tangible help, just care about, right? And that care can be as little as listening to someone. And a lot of people are going to come along and go, listening to somebody doesn't help. You can kick rocks, you ignorant fool. Listening to someone helps. It is the bottom rung of respect. Right? It's the bottom of the ladder. But you're on the ladder, right? So if you think that just listening to someone and just giving words to someone, right, isn't enough, it's where real help begins, and it cannot be taken for granted. So move your game. So we're seizing Gary's grow as group model, right? We're going to grow as a group. That begins by abandoning your nothing Goblin Chop funsies lol game and starting a for realsy care about game. And the bottom rung is that every player cares about every other player. Every dungeon master cares about every dragon master. Every dragon master cares about every other dragon master, right? And you, as dungeon master, do not stop until you have 100% buy-in across the board, right? For care about, not care for. We're not, ain't nobody, flipping somebody in a bed so they don't get bed sores. We're not talking about that kind of care here. This is just bottom of the rung care about, right? So that's where we're at. Abandon your nothing Goblin Shop game and move to a care about game to move into a grow as group transition. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.